Welcome to House of Track. I'm your host, David Ribich. Each episode, we have conversations around the sport of track and field with the people who make it so compelling to follow. At House of Track, we're focused on the people who make the sport so great and creating a space of connection within the track and field community. Wherever you're listening from, we're glad you're here. And if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a review and following us on socials at houseoftrack.hot. Today's guest is a very special guest and a very good friend of mine, especially through the Division II ranks. Today's guest is Trevor Bassitt, one of the most consistent names in the 400-meter hurdles right now. A D2 product out of Ashland University, he has built his way onto the global stage. 21-time All-American, 10-time national champion, World Championship bronze medalist in 2022, Olympic finalist placing 9th in Paris in 2024, and a member of Team USA's World Championship 4x4 100-meter relay gold team. Now sponsored by Adidas and current world leader in the event, he's become a routine presence in USA finals in one of the deepest events in the sport. He's more than just another name in a stacked era of US 400-meter hurdles. He's one that shows up, executes, and proves that he belongs every time he steps on the line. Trevor, thanks for joining House of Track. Appreciate you sitting through me working through that extensive intro with you because it was hard to believe 21-time All-American, but thank you again for joining on.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure, and it's going to be some fun.
It will be. And I know you just ran. I would love to kind of just jump into kind of where you are in your season. You know, it is no world championships this year, but there's obviously some really strong competitions happening throughout the summer. So would love for you to open up about your opening 400-meter hurdle race there with the world lead and just kind of where we are leading into 2026.
Yeah, so obviously it's a little bit of a weirder season, right? With the no standard world championships. There are the ultimate championships, which is the big focus now for my season in September in Budapest. But yeah, we wanted to open up the season at home like we normally do at Tom Jones here in Gainesville, Florida at the university. And I was really excited. Things have really been going well in practice. But I mean, I know, every track and field athlete knows you can have some great practices and it doesn't always carry over into the race. And I felt like that had been the case the last couple seasons. And just sort of wanted to shift my focus going into the race and just focus on executing my race, competing, and then let the time take care of itself, let the race take care of itself. I'm just focusing on my lane, my cues, my 10 hurdles. And it was funny because I knew I was running well. And I leaned at the line. I knew it was a pretty good time, but I had no clue what I had ran. And I heard Alex, one of our assistant coaches, I hear him outside go, "Did he just run 47?" And then I said, "Whoa, hold on." Because I hadn't ran 47 since the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
So like that had been a really frustrating thing for me. And then I'm staring at the video board, waiting for the time to pop up. Felt like it was about 5 minutes before the time popped up, and it popped up 47:82, which is ironically the same exact time I ran at the Olympic trials in 2024 to make the team. And
Wow.
it just felt like a big weight off my shoulders to be like, okay, I can still do this. Everything's good. And we can build on this. And it was really nice because there were some things that went really well in the race, but there's still a handful of things where the second the race was done, I'm like, okay, I can do that better. I can do that better. So
Yeah.
47:82 is a great opener, but it's nowhere near where we want to be.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of psychological games in off years as well. You know, there is no world championship. There's no technically world champion titles, bronze, silvers on the line. But you're saying you'd still have like a major championship there in September in Budapest. And to run 47:82 in an opening, is that your fastest 400-meter hurdle opening ever?
Oh, yeah, by over a second. I think my previous
That's
fastest was like
insane.
48.9.
Wow. And then now you're sitting here within 0.51 of your personal best right out of the gates. And when it comes to kind of leaning into was there pressure there, or were you truly just like, I'm going to attack each hurdle, go for it? Or were you just like, because when you step back into your event, sometimes it feels like there's a little bit of an added pressure.
I always feel a little bit of pressure, but that's just because every time I step on the track, because of the work I put in, I always feel like I could PR any given race, which I think is a great mindset to have. But then sometimes I can put a little bit of pressure on myself, and that's not a great thing. So I did feel a little bit of pressure. Like my parents always fly down to watch my first hurdle race of the year when it's in the States. Had some friends from church pull up. So there's always a little bit of pressure of like wanting to put on a show and like wanting to run well. But every time I felt myself start to like drift towards that, I just sort of bring myself back of, okay, what are my race cues? What am I doing to get to the first hurdle? And then after that, because once the race starts, I'm good. It's just
Yeah,
building up, like the build up throughout the day, through the warm up, like so anytime I felt that start to get away from me, I'd always take a second. What can I do right now? What's the race plan? And just talk myself back through that to kind of keep myself in the moment.
that's awesome. The and I think the cool thing about it too is, you have what from the outside seems to be a training group that is very hurdles disciplined. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very like short sprint hurdle discipline. And so everybody I feel like in that camp understands the pressure of I need to attack this hurdle. I need to go after this event. So how does it feel to also be able to kind of like do it on your home turf with kind of with a lot of your teammates there and like you said, family and friends allowing you to just perform in a very casual setting, but then have this world leading mark?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, everybody wants to defend their home track. Nobody wants to be on the track that they train at however many hours a week and let someone come in and beat them on their home track. Nobody wants to do that. But then, like you mentioned, our training group. Our training group's great, man. Everybody, we all support each other, but we also hold each other to a very high standard. So it's stepping on the track knowing that I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing our group. And I think that goes the same, not just for me, but everybody in the training group. So the support I got from them, even with last season being a little rougher, how happy they all were for me that when I had that moment, it was really cool to see.
That's awesome. And you're somebody in the track and field world, and I'll say it, that does not get enough hype and love as I think that you deserve, especially with the impact that you have on the sport, especially with the absolute grind and mentality that you have to have as a sprinter and a 400-meter hurdler in an event that is dominated by what is seen as this like colossal Mount Rushmore of 400-meter hurdles right now in our era, and you're like battling with them and medaling. So when you get a chance to be celebrated and I see you do incredible work, I'm like, give this man his flowers and also retroactively give those flowers over the last couple of years for the work that you put in. So let's talk about getting some of those flowers with the partnership then with Adidas. So full-time professional athlete sponsored by Adidas. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep.
And did they swoop you at the end of last year or early this year? I'm trying to figure out when I saw you in the fully branded pro kit.
It was early last season. I didn't do
Early
like
last
a big
season?
announcement or anything with it. Yeah, it was just something that I felt like been a long time coming, so I didn't want to like make a big deal out of it. Just sort of did a soft launch when I opened my season in the Adidas kit, and then just went from there.
Love it. And obviously, coming out of Division Two, like having that external support from a sponsor is really important. How many years from the time you graduated college until this Adidas deal did you go unsponsored in the sport? And if you want to kind of talk about some of those decisions that you had to make, both, I guess, financially and professionally to kind of navigate that in between.
Yeah, so for me, finished up college. Or my last track meet at Ashland was, I want to say it was the end of May in 2022. Does that sound right? Outdoor Nationals normally like the end of May.
Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah. So after that, my eligibility was done. Made the U.S. team in 22. I didn't end up signing with them until spring of 2025. So for me, I was fortunate enough where I, I mean, my wife works a job. I had done well with prize money because, I mean, 2022, I got second at Indoor Worlds in the Open Four, got third at Outdoor Worlds, and then was a part of the 4x4 Worlds. So like that's a good chunk of prize money there. We lived in Ashland, Ohio for most of that year. Ashland, Ohio is like one of the cheapest places in the country to live. So that was super nice. And then I talk about it just about any interview when this stuff comes up. The USA Track and Field Foundation and their grants and opportunities they give us athletes, that's been vital. I mean, I don't know what my career would be or what it would look like if we didn't have their support year in and year out. And now being with Adidas, it just helps me. There's not as much pressure going into races because it's not as much like I need
Got
to run fast because we have to, right? Because we're
yeah,
trying to like pay bills.
like if I don't run fast, rent is still due.
Rents
I'm
still
looking at
do,
I'm
yes.
rent's still due, and I'm looking at the top 8 right now, and I know that if I win, man, I'm gonna get a nice little paycheck. If I get 8th, I'm gonna get like $200. So it's like,
Or it's like if you
hope I
get
run well.
eighth, you know that, or if you get eighth, you know you're in the red from the trip because the flight over there, and then you go back home. So
Which you out of pocket, let's say you had no foundation, you had no sponsor, you are post collegiate, you pay for that. You pay for your
mhm,
hotel, you pay for your entry, you
yeah.
pay for everything. Crazy.
And track entry fees aren't cheap either at some of the meets in the
No,
States. Like some of these college meets, you're paying a little bit to get in there.
yeah, you're paying the prize money that you could potentially win on the line.
Yeah.
The so let's talk. You mentioned Ashland, and I want to talk about Ashland because I think that Ashland might be. This is me coming from a Division II school. Ashland might be the best post collegiate product school and one of the most competitive schools in Division II for track and field. And I can list off a few names: Katie Moon now, right? Uh, Drew Windle, former like global silver medalist in the 800 meter. I don't know how many times Katie's won a world championship or Olympic medal. You probably know that off the top of your head. You have obviously yourself there in Trevor Bassitt. You have Miles Pringle, who made a really good like entry point post collegiately into the professional ranks, and then you have one of the most like well known coaches on the USA side with Judd, right? That like made a
Yeah.
major impact within the sport. Talk about Ashland. I would love to just listen to you talk about the lasting legacy and what it means to represent Ashland.
Yeah, so it's so funny you mentioned like the Ashland professional pipeline. I got bored one day and took
Here we
out a
go.
notes app and wrote down people.
Okay,
So we
so
have
this is
two
me from the outside,
categories.
so I love this. Okay, go.
We have two categories. We have went to Ashland University and trained at Ashland University. So went to the school or trained at school. Went to Ashland University. We have Katie Moon, Olympic champion, two-time world champion, world silver medalist, Diamond League champion. We have myself, Kibwe Johnson, two-time Olympian in the hammer, four-time U.S. champion. Jackie Jesselnig Olm, she was an Olympian in the hammer. Kurt Thompson, Olympian in the javelin. Kurt Roberts, two-time Team USA for the World Championships in shot put. Drew Windle, like you mentioned, world silver medalist. And then Miles Pringle made a NACAC team and was professional for Nike for a little bit. So there's 8 people in Ashland University. I think all of those were within the 2000s.
For sure.
And then trained at Ashland University, obviously Judd, four-time Olympian, former American record holder in the hammer. Eric Woodsky, former Canadian record holder in the hammer. A.G. Kruger, who's the current hammer, or who's the current head coach, was a three-time Olympian in the hammer. And now there's Rachel Richardson, who's made a USA outdoor team for the Worlds in the hammer and is like one of the top American hammer throwers all time. So you have this Division II school in between Cleveland and Columbus in Amish country, Ohio. I think population's like 8,000 people that has
Yeah,
produced double digit professional athletes in the sport of track and field from sprints to the vault to hammer, like just across the board. And
if you took, let's say if you took that as a scoring, like let's say you did it in a 20-year span of scoring, like if you win the event you get 10 points, you get 6 at a world championship, you get whatever points. Like I truly think that if you took a 20-year timestamp of Ashland, it would be competitive against a lot of Division I high power 5 schools of like, oh
a
yeah, we
hundred
had
percent.
points here, points here, points there. Yeah, remarkable.
And and what's
Yeah,
crazy is a lot of those people were truly developed. It's not like how some Division I schools, they sign this high schooler that could have already made a team, but they're just doing the college for a year because like, no, you took a lot of those people couldn't really have gone Division I, and then they were at Ashland for 4 or 5 years and then developed into that professional rank.
Yeah, I mean, like, no offense to you, but I'm looking at your high school marks right now, right? Like 1420 for 110-meter hurdles, 3794 for 300-meter hurdles, 1110 for 100-meter dash, 2229 for the 200, 5544 for the 400-meter hurdles. Like, those are good marks, but like you're saying, like, that's not
They're
ninth in
not
the Olympics.
crazy.
They're not crazy.
No.
Did you,
I
when, yeah, go for it.
I wasn't top 100 in the US in
Yeah,
anything. I think I looked
yeah,
back one time. My highest rank was the 300 hurdles. I think I was like 110th in 2017.
yeah. If only you were 110th in the 110-meter hurdles, that just feels very
It'd be
numerically
it'd be it'd be on the
prophetic.
nose. Yeah, it would have been nice.
um, so with Division Two, for those not aware of Division Two slogans, like right now it's "Make It Yours." Previously, versions of that was "I chose Division Two," and I proudly now say that I chose Division Two. I don't list my options because there weren't many. But for you, when you quote unquote chose Division Two, were you offered anywhere within Division One, or was it pretty much D2, NAIA, D3?
The only Division One schools that I actually like got some interest from, Miami of Ohio was interested. They, but they didn't have an indoor track team. And I was like, no, I want to do
Mm,
indoor track. And
mm-hmm.
there were two Power Five schools that they wanted me to walk on as a multi because I was an okay
Mm.
high jumper. And they were like, we just don't think you have the flat foot speed to be a sprinter hurdler at this level. Which, like you said,
Which
given the high school
at the t-
marks,
at the time,
like if you look at, okay, he's an okay hurdler. He runs 22.2 in the 200, 11.1 in the 100. I think it's understandable, or yeah, like I can understand it being like, oh, we didn't think you were going to run 20.40 indoors in the
yeah,
200.
yeah,
So, so for me, it came down to Ashland University, which I didn't want to go to Ashland when I first started my recruiting process because my older sister went there. I wanted to do something for myself. And it was between Ashland and Grand Valley State, which ironically
okay.
enough, they were big rivals when I was there. And I did an overnight visit at Ashland and just being in the atmosphere there, they took me in the weight room for their lifting session. They were doing like, it was a max out day.
They took
Just
you to the
seeing the
Amish
energy
community.
they had. Yeah, they took me to Grandpa's Cheese Barn, like, but just seeing like the intensity and like the support they all had, just the atmosphere at Ashland it's truly, I've never found anything like it since. And it's something that I was talking about in the weight room the other day with a couple people. And I'm like, the training environment is almost more important than anything else. Like we had a terrible indoor facility. Our indoor facility was not an exaggeration, a 147-meter bank track built in the 60s. It was about this thick around concrete. The turns were like built on wood because they used to pull them out so they could run the 60 when they would host track meets there. Awful. When you're running 200s, we'd run past the hammer net and you'd have to look over when someone was throwing in case they slipped and the implement went flying. Like it was
Jeez.
just pure chaos.
Yeah.
And I just remember every year Judd would talk to us about it and he's like, we have this facility. We know it's not great, but it's ours. We've produced Olympians in here and we're going to go to every other indoor track meet against people with these nice facilities and we're going to kick their butt because we can, because we're tougher than them, and because we're going to put in work that nobody here is going to see.
Incredible.
And just that is like Rocky Four vibes when he's like in the mountains doing people in wheelbarrows. Like it was just pure chaos, but it was
Yeah.
ours. And I still
You're like,
remember when they tore down the old field house because now Aspen has a beautiful facility. It was fully donated. It's a 300-meter Mondo track. Like it's fantastic. But when they tore down the old track to turn it into something else, like I have a piece of it with me. Like I had someone grab a piece of the track and take it with me,
yeah.
and it's just special,
Is
man.
that Conrad Fieldhouse? Is that what it used to be?
The Conard
Okay.
Fieldhouse, yeah.
Yeah, I got somebody on the inside with technology, not one of the other community members around Ashland, and they texted me and said ask him about the field house. So you naturally brought it up because I think that's really cool. I think that when we're looking at like high end performance and high performers, there's two ways to go about it. You look at a university and you might look on the stat sheet and be like, wow, these are incredibly fast athletes, incredibly strong athletes. They throw far, jump high, run fast. And definitely that's a benchmark that can elevate everyone around them, for maybe a short period of time, but the really sustainable programs. And I think in Division II, especially, if you can develop a really strong culture around high performance, you are going to carry a lasting legacy that's going to transcend the 4 years, 5 years, maybe 6 years, 8 years if you're really milking it. But the lasting legacy that you leave as an athlete. And I think what you just said literally epitomizes that concept where the culture elevated the performances, and performances sometimes can't elevate culture. So having that culture as the foundation there makes execution of anything you need to try to accomplish, I feel very, very confident saying like it's achievable.
Yeah, man, culture is king. And like I feel so again with this indoor track, the sprinters we had to run in lanes 3 and 4 because 1 and 2 were too tight, so the distance runner would take 1 and 2. And I'm pretty sure me and Miles Pringle hit the physical limit for how fast you could run a 200 on a 147-meter bank track. And but like it would be Mondays were always so crazy because we would do
Yeah.
a team meeting and then we'd all go to practice at the same time. So you'd have a full track team of probably like 80 some kids in this tiny field house. You'd have sprints going in 3 and 4, distance going in 1 and 2, long jump going on the runway, pole vault going right down the middle, shot put throwing into these walls, and then hammer or weight throw throwing over there, and then high jump going sometimes. And it was just this mix. Like Judd always loved to say he was the conductor of a 5-ring circus.
Yeah, I was gonna say it
And it's
literally sounds like a
truly,
circus.
yeah, how nothing ever went wrong is insane. And I truly wish we had at some point just someone just come in and just record it. No music or anything, just record the pure chaos that was happening. But we were all just getting better. Like Judd
Yeah.
never let us use facilities as an excuse. And one of the questions I always get asked was, why did I never transfer? And it's because I don't know if it's just how I am or if it was what the culture kind of instilled in me or a combination of both. But I was like, there's nothing a Division I program can offer me because, okay, you can offer me nicer facilities. I don't care about facilities. Like I'm making it work here. Okay, you can offer me gear. I don't really care about gear. Like that's gear is sick. Like
I'm in
Adidas
the
sends me
Rocky
free
Four
stuff. I
sweatsuit.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like don't get me wrong, I love gear, but I'm like I have a coaching staff that supports me. And I had gotten to the level where Judd and Coach Clark, I'd meet with them before every season, and I would get to pick one indoor and one outdoor meet to go to where I could face like world-class competition. So indoor, I went to one of the American Track League meets in Arkansas. Outdoor, I got to go to Mount Sac. And they're like, we can get you to one track meet where you can face like world-class competition. That's enough. Like that's all we can really do for you. And I'm like, that's great. Like I don't need
You-
anything else.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I think that level of autonomy between athlete and coaching is also a really important factor. And, a big demographic of our listeners with House of Track is the collegiate athletes and high school athletes. We had a really weird spike in like 36-year-old male and female demographic. So I don't know what pulled that demographic in, but hey, welcome to House of Track. But a
It's probably
large,
Dendy.
it was probably Dendy. It was probably Dendy. Honestly, I didn't even consider that one, considering he technically almost falls into that category himself. So don't tell him I said
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you train. He's in your training group too, right? Yeah, so I'm just slowly gonna turn Coach Holloway's training group into House of Track, and when people are
As
like,
you
"Wow,
should. As you
House
should.
of Track is sharing results," and it is only Coach Holloway's athletes, which as I should, but he's also producing all these world class athletes, so it only makes sense. But that autonomy between an athlete and a coach, I think that is also one of those things where when you're trying to find yourself being recruited or being put into a position where I want to go to this program or I want to run for this team, like a great consideration should be like, how am I going to be perceived by these coaches throughout my development? Am I going to be just another roster number? Am I going to be somebody that is challenged and can have a say in my training? And you met with your coaches every season to choose those races you wanted to be in. Like the autonomy that I had with my coaches, at the end of every year, we write down my 4-year plan. And so my freshman year, we accomplished way more than we anticipated accomplishing, and we realized, wow, there's a lot of potential here. So I wrote out my 4-year plan, and I remember I gave my my coach at the time my 4-year plan, but I ended it at my senior year, and he goes, no, like 4 years, like what do you want to do your first year after being a collegiate athlete? And that gave me
Mhm.
perspective, like, ooh, there's a great beyond. What can I achieve post-collegiately? And so every year with my collegiate coach, my collegiate goals got shorter and shorter because I was running out of time. But then it extended like, okay, I'm graduating in 2018. Where do I want to be in 2022? And my goal was like, I
Mhm.
want to be in the Olympic trials final. And that's something that he knew he was never going to be a part of as a coach because I was going to go on to a different team. But he was at least putting me in the position of, from a mental perspective, like, you want world-class competition, you want world-class experience, like we're going to provide that for you too. In the same way, like you're building out your schedule.
Yeah. So the thing I always tell people if they're looking at like a college program, I tell them, okay, first of all, would you still enjoy being at this school if track got taken away from you for whatever
Yep.
reason, whether
Yeah.
you quit the team, you got hurt, whatever, would you still enjoy the school? The other thing I tell people is look at the athletes they have and look at them before and after. Don't just look at the top people because every school has those kids that they're going to get better no matter what. So look at like the development the coach is actually producing and understand, does this coach, like you said, does this coach care about me, the human, or do they just care about the roster spot and if I'm going to score at conference? And I think another important thing is like you talk about the autonomy. I think it's important for people to understand though, autonomy with your coach is something that gets earned, right? Like I couldn't just walk in there freshman year and be like, hey, Judd, Coach Clark, I want to go to this, I want to go to Mount Sac. They'd be like,
Be like,
you haven't even
where
ran
at?
for us yet.
Yeah.
Like I only got to that point after 3 years and like multiple national championships. So it's important to understand like the autonomy and that stuff is earned by, and it's not even just earned by competing well, it's also earned by your work ethic. Like if they see you're like working hard, you're giving everything to the program, if you're like, hey coach, I have an idea. Could we try this with my training? If they see that for the last like year or two, you've been giving everything you have, they're going to be more inclined to be like, okay, maybe we can try that. So understand that autonomy and that collaboration with your coach is there, but it has to be something that's earned.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And on that culture side too, I'm definitely speaking more on, I feel like with most interviews, it's very more guest led, but now I feel like I'm doing my own reflection. I think it's probably the Division 2 ability that we have that in common, so I can kind of lean back into my experience. But when you talk about that culture and that work ethic, like when people ask like what's your favorite memory from college, like it truly is not like the fact that we won 2 back-to-back DMR national titles. It's how we won them. We won them back-to-back years in very different ways. The first year that we won our title, it was the 4 guys that were on the DMR team in March decided in November that we're going to stay the month of December when school's out and we're going to train. And we're going to hang out. We're going to play Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to just do track workouts and be nerds and hang out and be friends. And that level of trust and culture that I think we built in that core group that stayed. There was more than us. There's like I think 8 or 9 people that stayed through the winter. But that elevated our program massively because we suddenly were like, we were bought into each other. And like that accountability of being able to buy into each other, like by the time we got to March, like there was no if, ands, or buts. Like everyone on that team is like 100%. We've been talking about this for months. We've been putting in every single rep. And in the training, it showed that, yeah, this is actually something that we can do. And it's fun too because when you do things with that group or with that culture, it means so much more to those athletes and the university. Because I guarantee as well, like you probably felt seen in the same way that I felt seen at Western Oregon, where I'm like, damn, this means a lot to the school, actually. Like the school celebrates this. So,
Yeah, I remember, like you said, with like how you like got a couple buddies and you're like, hey, this is what we're doing. I remember when COVID hit and shut like everything down in March. I remember texting Judd and I'm like, we have a 20-week off season. Like this has never happened before. I want to take this time and I just want to hit the weight room. I'm like, you connect me with the best person you know in strength and conditioning. Like, let's get to work. Because I knew that's where a lot of my weaknesses were as an athlete was in the weight room. So I'm like, I don't have to worry about running until like September. So let's just hammer this. And then I moved to Ashland with one of my buddies, Cam, that lives there. And me, him, Brent Fairbanks, and we just started lifting together in the summer. We all had different stuff we were doing, but just being in that setting with each other, none of us had to be there, but we all chose to be there. So then by the time we got to the indoor championships in 2021, and we were like the heavy favorite to repeat, we're like, hey, we know what we're going to do. I was more as part of that group as well. We're like, we know what we have to do. We know the work we've put in. And that was one of the more, we won 3 team championships. That one was really cool because that was the first one we were expected to win. And we won. And Judd had the tradition. He always let us name the trophy. I don't know if other programs do this. I'll have to ask Coach Holloway, but like we always got to name the trophy. And we named that trophy Wendy after Wendy's because we went 4 for 4. We scored in the sprints, we scored in the jumps, we scored in the throws, and we scored in the distance. And I'm pretty sure Judd said it was like the first time he'd ever had it happen. So we named that trophy Wendy
for the 4x4.
And that was like
for the 4 for 4.
4 for 4, yeah. So we named the trophy Wendy, and it was just really cool to then like we walked on the track for the 4x4, and for the first time in my career, we'd already won. We could have gotten DQ from the 4x4 and it wouldn't have mattered. Whereas our first 2 championships, it came down to the 4x4, which we love, right? That was Coach Clark and Judd's whole thing was we want it to come down to the 4x4. Our 4x4 is the fourth quarter. We're the closers. We want that.
Love
in the
that.
back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but it'd be kind of nice if we didn't have to worry about it.
It'd be kind of nice if we had a lead.
And
it'd be kind of nice if it was a blowout.
And we were walking onto the track, and I did the math. I just looked at my brothers and like, hey, we get 2 victory laps. 2 victory laps each. Let's soak it in. And we still won the 4x4.
Awesome.
And that led to one of the cooler moments because we finished the 4x4 and I had anchored, obviously. And an official walked up to me and he goes, put out your hand. I put out my hand and he just drops 2 shell casings into my hand. He's like, that shell casing's from the 4x4. That shell casing is from the starting gun for your 200 where you broke the national record. He's like, I thought you'd like those.
I just got chills.
I said, I love those actually. I don't like them. Yeah. I love them. So there with my NCAA trophies, I have the little shell casing on both of those trophies. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever had an official do.
And that's what's cool about that is I think, and officials, I feel like in track and field get a bad rap because you'll have instances where like Devin Allen has a quick start and then he's disqualified and then everyone's just blasting these officials. A lot of these officials have been doing this for decades and decades, and they were athletes in the 60s and 70s, and a lot of these officials are volunteers or not paid enough to be absolutely bantered. They're not an NFL official or an NBA official, and so these officials truly care, I believe, about the health of the sport and the health of the athletes. And so, dude, that's awesome. Those shell casing. I have the 1500. I don't think I ever got any from the DMR, which now that I think about it, I need to contact those officials if they're still kicking around the planet Earth. But those shell casings, man, they're cool. They're like unique little mementos.
Yeah. And I do agree. I think officials get a bad rap, and like stories like that with the shell casings don't get shared enough. I do think the officials from the Devin Allen situation got what they deserved. Truthfully,
but the reaction time that was all BS.
Yeah, as someone that was sitting in the stands when that happened, I was shocked. I thought there was no way. But anyway.
Yeah, bad example because I do actually agree that like I'm like, what the hell was that call? That is absolutely like, oh, he reacted too fast for the human. I'm like, dude, he technically didn't false start at all by definition, but
in my opinion, you should be allowed. If it's after the gun, I think it's fair game. If you're willing to risk it, that's on you.
100. That's a good way to put it. If you're willing to risk it, it's on you. But if it says it was a 0.09 latency from when the gun actually went off, guess what? That is not before the gun went off. That is I
Just
risked
have
it,
to.
and I had the best start of my career, and probably the best start I will ever have in my career, in this exact moment.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to cut it much closer than that, obviously, because you can't, apparently. So unofficially, Devin Allen, the greatest starter in the world. For you, when you're going through these phases of your career, you go through this backing and this grind mentality at Ashland University. You're in this corn-fed Rocky IV type scenario where you're just absolutely working, dodging implements, and I wouldn't say underfunded, but I would say like you're in a different type of mentality. You're hungry, you're starving, right? And then you go onto this unsponsored. Did that transition help you? Not going from a program that had everything to having nothing? Was that build familiarity helpful?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like nothing had changed. Coming out of high school, I felt like I was overlooked. In college, felt like I was overlooked. I only made it on the Bowerman watch list one time, and it was after I got silver at Worlds in the indoor 400. They put me on the watch list for 1 week. Then after that, took me off of it.
Which you have to be one
So
of the first
then
athletes in Division II history to be even on the watch list, because
I think I'm one
whatever.
of, I think Ashland, we've had two or three, which
Okay,
based on what we
easy
said earlier is
flex.
not super surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but no, so like just sort of feeling like overlooked was something I've been used to. And even you can make the argument now, even after how my professional career's been so far, that I'm a bit overlooked. It's just something that I just embrace at this point. I lean into it, and I just show up on race day looking to shock people.
Chip on the shoulder of Division II, I feel like sometimes the phrase chip on a shoulder is seen as a negative, but I truly, truly believe a chip on the shoulder is a positive. And I truly believe that chip on the shoulder, if you can empower yourself and use that as an identity build of just like, yeah, you know what? I represent this niche that has this chip on the shoulder. Like, that is game changing from a confidence perspective.
Yeah, I think chip on the shoulder, when it's related to sports, I don't think there's any time it's possibly a bad thing because it's giving you that underdog mentality. It's giving you that confidence and understanding you're representing people that are overlooked, undervalued. And it doesn't matter. I could win every gold medal and I'm still going to have the chip on my shoulder. Like it's just, you can have a chip. Some people have a boulder. Like it's something, it's just part of you.
Yeah. The support of Tom and Mindy. How is Tom and Mindy kind of built the those are your parents, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at your Ashland profile, so I'm just making sure Tom and Mindy are the correct ones. I mean, they're the earliest fans, right? They always want what's best for you. So how kind of has it
Correct.
been? Yeah, how has it been for you being able to? I would say this is probably me assuming, like, kind of giving back of knowing like, hey, we're doing this thing. Like all those trips, all those miles are paying off. Tom and Mindy, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Like I know how much they sacrifice for me, especially with like I remember my dad driving me at like 6 a.m. to go to Ashland to do like some hurdle training because I wanted to, even though I knew I wasn't going to want to in the morning. Like he'd take out his Saturday or Sunday morning and drive me. He'd like sit off to the side, read a newspaper, whatever. And then them sitting outside in freezing cold track meets with insane winds for hours on end just to watch me when I was in a freshman in high school run like 16 seconds in the high hurdles, or even in middle school when I ran the 200 hurdles in 35 seconds, like just getting dead last. And they're still there, they're still cheering. And now they've gotten to see me get world medals and make Olympic teams. So it's been really cool to sort of give back to them in that way and let them experience all of that.
Yeah, and they obviously they do they travel with you at global championships now as well? Like were they there in Paris even?
Yeah, so for the most part, they'll show up to my first 400 hurdle race, which is always in Florida. They'll go to USA's and then the global championship, assuming I qualify. Now this year, since there's not one, and they've already been to Budapest, I don't know what they're going to do if they're going to do an international trip. That's sort of up to them, obviously, but who knows what they'll do.
And I'm like, honestly, I'm scrolling through. What I honestly love about during like interviews in a prep phase, I kind of scrub the internet and just kind of see like what's the cat like what's the conversation, Any cats out of the bag? How we doing on morale around these athletes? And honestly, I feel like you have a pretty positive rapport of like their threads, their articles, like Trevor MF Bassitt, just like absolutely hype train around kind of. I think like you're saying, when there's somebody that represents a community that is overlooked and undervalued, it adds a level of ownership and pride in like, this is our person. This is us.
Yeah.
We are doing this. I do want to say that I think that your tweet is hilarious from July 1, 2024, when you said Bluffton High School knew it first, and it's the seniors most likely to go to the Olympics, and then paired with Olympics bound. That's a pretty. Did you have that cooking? Did you have that ready?
No. So once I had made the team, I mean, I somewhat had it cooking because I had the picture on my phone for some reason. I think when I went home after the 2023 season, I took the picture, and I think it clicked in my head like a couple days later. But it's funny, like the Twitter stuff's funny because
dude, your Twitter's actually popping a little bit.
When I won Grand Slam, I think the guy's name's like Predamame or something like that. He tweeted like the Bassett Hounds. So I guess that's a thing now of
nice.
My fan base is called the Bassett Hounds. And then I saw one tweet the other day that said, Trevor Bassitt 47-8 in April. Y'all aren't loud enough for me yet. And I was like, that's partially just because like the 400 hurdle event has gone crazy. Like to think about how Karan Clement won the 2016 Olympics with a 47-7.
Yeah.
And I went 47-8 in April, and it's kind of just like
Yeah,
like a bit of a like one of those things like, for certain people.
Yeah, you're like it is a world lead. It ain't no Wendy's 4 for 4, but it's still a world lead.
No.
But it's like one of the first 400 meter open or 400 meter hurdle. I would say you're probably one of the earlier 400 meter hurdle athletes to open that early, right?
100%.
So it's like it's a world lead, but like you're saying, like the sport has changed, the sport has developed.
It's a world lead. Nobody's expecting that world lead to last too long. Like,
oh, dude, House of Track, the Bassett Hounds here at House of Track, we're barking for it.
Yeah.
We're barking for it, baby. Okay, I want to talk super shoes with you real quick. Adidas, are you training in these carbon plates that the World Record Marathon is ripping out right now? Do you have those?
No, I do not have those.
Okay, I was curious.
No.
And then also, we have long conversations on runs when we're talking about like carbon fiber shoes and footwear. How's kind of the footwear and the tech on the sprint side? Has that really developed as well, just to allow you to really like hurdle better, more efficiently? Because we talk often about like carbon fiber plates allowing us to like train longer and recover easier. Is it very similar to that in sprints?
I think so. I don't know. I honestly don't even know if the spike I wear has a carbon. I don't think the one I wear has a carbon fiber plate in it. I'd have to check. But I mean, I think it definitely helps in the sprints. But it's also kind of it's like a double-edged sword a little bit of like it's helping a lot of people run faster. But I think there's been some studies that come out of like it leading to like foot, ankle, Achilles issues.
For sure.
I know a lot of people won't train in them. And like the super spikes or whatever, they won't train in them, but they'll compete in them. And that's sort of, I know how some sprinters have kind of found a balance with that.
Well, I mean, like we're sitting in air now where like, I mean, we don't have to go into detail because I think there's not a lot of detail to go into yet. And it's not really my platform or our platform to talk on it, but like Abby Steiner suing Puma. I don't know if you saw that, but it's like
I did see
Abby
that.
Steiner's, suing Puma over defective shoes. And so it's like one of those things where, yes, these shoes are having, these really positive effects within the sport, but like you're exactly right. Like, is shoes a reason why athletes are getting surgery? Is it why they're having career-ending injuries? I mean, you look at the NBA, and more NBA players have done full rupture Achilles in the last 4 years than there was in the last like 40 or something like that, something ridiculous. So it's like shoes is definitely a big part of it. But what I also we're kind of shifting. We can shift off of shoes, just because I don't think we need to really dive into that rabbit hole because that could be another hour. But I want to talk about the 400 meter hurdles specifically, argued as one of the most difficult events in track and field. And it's in a sport, or it's in a place where you're 28, and the guys around you are also that age, or if not, maybe older. Is that right? Like
They're
everyone's
like
kind of in
I
these.
think Rye's a year older than me. I think Karsten is 2 years older than me. Dos Santos is younger, I believe.
Oh yeah, he's like 26 or 27.
Yeah.
Let's stop that. Well, we can throw. Let's throw. No, let's stop there. Let's stop those four. I would argue, and maybe this is some research I'll do post episode. You four have to be the oldest averaged age podium, I would say. And
Probably.
so is that, do you find a correlation with having that age and experience in the 400 meter hurdles beneficial?
I mean, I think it's a little bit, because obviously training age is important. The more you can train, the more you learn the event, the more you learn yourself, more you're able to do in the weight room. I think that does matter. But I think it's just a sign of the times where like science is getting better, training is getting like we know how to train more now, and then you add in like supplementation, and I think it's going to extend careers more because now I mean, look at CJ. CJ's in
Yeah.
his
I mean,
30s, and he just
I was
had a
going to
good
mention
opener.
CJ.
Like I think you're going to see more and more careers, especially in like the 400 and the 400 hurdles, start to extend longer than what we're used to. Because I was curious the other day, and I think the oldest person to ever make a U.S. Olympic team in the 400 hurdles was 33.
Hmm.
But that was also, I
For
think
the
Chat
track.
GPT gave that answer for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
United States.
I think,
I think it said the oldest was 33.
and that's on the track. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there may be some older marathoners, but yeah. So like I even did a study. I did some research. This is just middle distance, and I think I mentioned in this previous episode, but not that you don't listen. I guess you don't listen to my episodes. What the hell? No,
I never said
the
that. I never said that.
you never. That's true. That's true. 2016, 1 in 5 U.S. Olympians were under the age of 26 or 25. In Paris, it was
Hmm.
1 in 2. So it shifted from 20% to 50% of U.S. Olympians in just an 8-year span. So the demographic of middle distance is also getting a lot younger, and I think it's in part of like tech and performance and I think visibility and training and but I'm looking right now. So or you can continue. I kind of just hijacked what you're saying. Rip something as I do some quick maths over here.
Yeah, so it was just that because my career plan has always been we're going to compete through 2028, and then after the 2028 games, not necessarily retire, but that's going to be the first time we like evaluate where we're at in the career we want to go because I'll be 30 for the 2028 games, and then 2032 I'd be 34. So then that made me curious, and I looked, and the oldest man to make the U.S. Olympic team in the 400-meter hurdle specifically was 33. So if my career is still going well, that might be like, okay, let's just try and be the oldest and see what happens there. But I think just as sports science continues to progress, whether or not some athletes stay longer, that's going to be more of the question because some of them just might not want to anymore. But I think you could see a lot of track and field careers extend longer and longer just because the science is getting better and it's helping people stay healthy and just keep building on what they're doing.
For sure. And I'm looking right now at the World Championships for 400. So the average age for the 400 podium was 26. The average age for the 400 meter hurdles was 28.
Yeah.
I'm going to add in 1500 just because I think that would be a fun relative mark for our distance listeners. And
Well,
that's
because
on the men's
distance
side.
runners peak later.
Yeah. 26. See if I can even just do mental math without even having to look it up.
So how do you feel about the potential 5-year limit once you turn 19 that's been proposed
like within the NCAA?
within the NCAA?
Yeah, I think that. So I think that there is, previously around like amateur athleticism and like qualifying for the Olympics of being an amateur athlete, like there's a lot of gray area around that, even in terms of like, are they sponsored? Are they not? Now NIL comes into the
Yeah.
deal. I think that competing against those, well, there's a few parts. I think opportunity is really important. So when we're looking at some of these older athletes that are getting opportunity, especially from like different countries. So let's say like Kenya, for instance, right? So these athletes
Yeah.
come in, maybe they come into track at 22. There might not have been might not have been in a position or within a system to allow them to be placed in the U.S. in the NCAA system at 19. And I think that opportunity is everything. And if you can elevate an athlete and a human experience by sport and by the NCAA system, I think all power to you. Now, with how the current US structure is built, high school going straight into college, I think that it makes sense. But the NCAA is a global uh,
Hmm.
entry point. There are athletes from all over the world, and if anything, it's like a mini world championship for juniors every single time they're on the track for trials. And so I like the fact that like you have athletes of different ages all competing for collegiate athletics, because in the same way that athletes can go back, or students can go back and get a further education later in their life, like I don't want to limit that because of the age. And this is my personal take. You may differ, and that's cool, because I'm honestly I've never thought about it. So this is me riffing. Um, but I think that if you can find a way in which opportunity exists for every type of athlete at every type of age within the space of NCAA, that'd be great. But to compare like basketball and track and field, I think those are two very different demographic and markets for global visibility, world entry into the US and NCAA system. But I don't want to take an opportunity away from a 21, 22-year-old that finally has their chance at life to start new, Like I feel like that's not fair, personally.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just asked you because I know that tends to be something that's more like in the distance runner world than it is the
Yeah.
sprint. So I was curious your take
Yeah.
on it.
Um I would say that what is interesting is programs using when I mentioned like global entry and NCAA being a little bit more worldly than just US, as when rosters are specifically built around like foreign entry. I feel like that's just a
Hmm.
very interesting approach to recruiting. But at the same time, you bring in teams, they're naturally going to be elevating all the competition that are what you would say like US distance products. Like I don't
Hmm.
think that you would have Simeon Birnbaum running a 1500-meter national record or the NCAA record in the 1500 if you didn't have all these athletes that are foreign athletes competing for the NCAA at all various ages elevating the 1500 already. I think that at
Yeah.
the end of the day, these athletes prime themselves and build themselves off competition and depth. So all power to them. And I mean, there was a 30-year-old sprinter my senior year in D2 that won the NCAA title for Division II. That was crazy. I'm like, and then he went on to go to Rio even. So that was my sophomore year. But it's like, but do we take that opportunity away because didn't start college at 19? I don't know.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I don't know. I just riffed it. I've never thought about it, to be honest. What do you think? What do you think though? Would it affect sprints if you put a age cap on sprints?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't. There was one guy my senior year for West Texas A&M who came in as a true freshman. He was the same age as me, but that's the only he came from Ghana, but that's really the only instance I can think of for like Division II sprints where it would have been affected. But even then, like that wasn't anything anybody really had. None of us really had a problem with it. It's just like, oh, okay.
What do you got going on right now, and kind of where can fans follow you and engage with you over social and then see your race?
Yeah, so for me, the best I post most often on Instagram. It's at Trevor Bassitt 30, uh, Bassitt number 30. I do have Twitter. I don't post on it that often. I mainly just have Twitter for like sports news. And then my next race, I'll be doing both China Diamond Leagues, May 16th, May 23rd. May 16th is the 300 hurdles, which
Okay.
is a fun little change up. And then the 23rd will be the 400-meter hurdles. And then after that, I'll be doing the Lone Star Grand Prix in June in Texas.
Okay. Okay.
And that's sort of like what we're next focusing on.
Nice. I mean, I feel like this is the year to be able to do back-to-back international diamond leagues. If there's a year to stay as far out, I feel like this is a good one.
Well, I mean, the thing is too, like China, the travel's so far.
Yeah.
Like my flight's 17 hours, where if you're gonna go that far, you might as well do a couple races to make it worth it. So like that's pretty common for people that go to like China or Japan. They normally do like 2 to 3 races and then come home.
Damn, Mr. Worldwide, Trevor Bassitt. Last question that I have for you before we sign off on this. What is your 800-meter PR?
My 800-meter PR is a hot topic, actually. I ran, I think, 2 flat 2019 on a 200-meter flat track after winter break.
Okay. I mean, you definitely got sub 2 in you. I'm looking at your World Athletics right now on the side. Not that I'm not
So
and I don't see anything on your pro.
I've gotten flack. I've gotten flack from people for this take because I'll never find out. I think when I'm in like peak world championship shape, so we're talking like 47 low, 46 400 hurdle shape. I think I could run like 145 in the 800. And I will never find out. I plan on never finding out, but that is a take I feel pretty confident in.
I will agree with you, genuinely. As a distance athlete and as someone that does not or has never ran or will never run 145 or find out how fast they can run in 40-meter hurdles, I would agree with you based off of just the fact that even like the first athlete that I feel like that is like navigating that 800-meter space as a 400-meter hurdler with Femke Bol running 159.07 in her debut, that is enough of an indicator for me to be like, this is a possibility and a probability for these world like class global medalists to just immediately make an impact in the 800. So if you think you could run 145, I'm going to back you with my life as a Bassitt hound that you could run 145.
Now, I will say, I don't think I could do it consistently. I don't think I could even do it multiple times. But I'm saying, like, we show up, you give me, like, a good pacer, good race group, I think I could give you 145, maybe even 144.99, who knows. But again, I plan on never finding out. This is just a take I believe.
And last question that I have for you before we sign this off and roll out the outro is, what do you think you could run in an 800-meter hurdle race?
Well, that would be so terrible. Okay, so 800 hurdles. We cut in like a normal 8?
Yeah, let's say you cut in. And let's say it's solo too. You're not worried about impairment. You're not worried about somebody else clipping you. Let's just say you've got, you have to stay in your lane. You're in lane 1 also, so you're doing everything in lane 1. No cut in. Let's just say you're lane 1 off the rip.
Okay, lane 1. I think, so if I come through...
What would you come through in a 400 or in an 800-meter hurdle race?
That's the thing, I don't even know.
Try to close? Could you try to run sub 2?
I think we come through like 56. Then, gosh, it sounds terrible. 55, 56. What would I have to do sub 2? What would if I come through in 55?
If you went through 55, it's 65 on the other end, or 56 to 64. So you'd have to have an 8-second. I think people use delta nowadays.
I think I could go sub.
Crazy.
I think I could go sub 2. I think I could go sub 2. I think I could go sub 2.
Because right now, like for sub 2, like if you go out in 50, you could just got to bank on a 70. Like, would you really try to front load it? Would you really like put out the pace on the first lap and do like a 53?
I think as a 400 hurdler, I'd kind of have to go out a little hotter than normal and just try to bank time. So I feel like I'd probably go through in like 52, 53. And then just try to close. Yeah.
Close in 67.
Yeah.
That seems doable. I think I could do that. I think you could do that.
I'm not going to do it, but...
You're not going to. You know what? The little bit of homework that I do want you to do is I'd be curious. You should ask Holloway and be like, hey, theoretically speaking, what do you think I could do?
He's the last person I'm going to ask because he's crazy enough where he might make me do it.
You'd be like, I mean, maybe that's what I want. Maybe that this is going to be House of Track's first follow up with an athlete where we send out a film crew.
And you just want pain. You just want me to feel pain.
I want content.
For beating up on your school for 5 years.
Yeah. What did you say that was king earlier today? What did you say was king?
Culture's king.
Culture's not king. No, culture's not king. Content is king. So we're gonna get content of this.
Content's king. Okay.
Yeah. But no. But seriously, Trevor, I appreciate you. Our mark flies up quick on us, just when we're bantering about and kind of just making it casual. But I wanted to say thank you for coming on to House of Track. Thank you for the shout outs on kind of where we can follow you and keep in touch. The whole House of Track community is behind you, and now they're all Bassitt hounds, as you would call them, or as other people call them. I don't know if you call them, but we are barking for you. So we thank you for coming on, and yeah, look forward to following your successes through this season, and then especially through the lead up to 2028.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm always down to do another, so don't hesitate to reach
Hell
out.
yeah, brother. All right, I will. I'll go through all the Holloway pipeline and be like, hey, so we talked to Trevor, we talked to Dendy. Let's bring him back on and bring on a few more. So
Yeah, there we go.
awesome.
You can do a
Thanks,
panel.
We could do.
Yep.
We
You.
will be doing panels eventually. Yeah, let's get a little panel going. But thank you.